Fantastic. We're joined with Danie Gardner today. Thank you so much for joining us, Danie.
Fantastic being with you.
Awesome. So let's go right to the beginning. Where'd you grow up? When did you start playing basketball, and what was that experience like?
Okay. Well, I grew up in Langley, so I'm sort of in the same area as I grew up, probably 5 minutes actually from the house that I grew up in. And I went to Poppy. DW Poppy was my high school. Started playing basketball probably grade 6, 7. We had a very enthusiastic gym teacher who got us all going with sports, so that was pretty awesome. And in grade 7, actually played on the boys team, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So that's where it all sort of started. Ended up in those days, it was a lot of going to camps, a lot of summer camps, week to week, and that's how you got better. Was going to camps and doing things like that, and then ended up playing at Poppy. So went through their whole system, and through the years, played basketball BC, played provincial teams all the way through, and sort of that's where I got my start, was just with the high school. We didn't have club teams like, it is nowadays, but we had opportunities. We had, coaches that were enthusiastic and would throw together kids to maybe go play in a tournament in Linden and throw a team in here and there. And so, yeah, that's where I sort of got started.
Very cool. And then you ended up playing university basketball. What was that like? Where'd you go? Actually, you know what? Let's start with how did you do in high school? Was your teams good? What got you going?
Yeah, no, my junior was the first year our team ever made a provincials. So that was pretty cool. And those were at RC Palmer. It's funny what you remember, but don't remember much about it, but we made it. All that cool stuff. The most exciting was the game to make it to provincials in my junior year was we had to play at Millardville, and it was a last second. We were up by 1 and they drew up this play, and it was pretty exciting. About there was a person that was the decoy that I wasn't supposed to pass to, but she was the one open, so I passed her, and then of course the ball went out of bounds, and we held on for dear life to make it to provincials. So
hey, whatever it takes.
Do not pass to the decoy, or if you are the decoy, be ready.
Be ready. There you go. Both are important things to remember. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then grade 12, we made provincials both years, had a successful season, lost in the provincial finals in my senior season to a stacked Lambrook Park team. And yes, that was probably the first powerhouse team in the province way back when.
Yeah, Lambrook was real good back then. There's definitely some history there. So that's pretty good. That's exciting to do. And then you ended up going to university. What was it like picking your university? There was obviously a lot less universities back then, so decisions were a lot more compact. How'd you end up at the university you chose, and what was that experience like?
Well, my dream was always to play at a university, and that was what sort of my goals I'd written out, back in like grade 8 and 9, you have all the goals. That was one that I wanted to play there. And coming out, my grade 12 season, there isn't the same choices that people have nowadays. I mean, basically, if you wanted to stay in BC, it was UVic, UBC, and SFU. Those were your 3 university choices. And so at that time, those options weren't available because of personnel they had. So I ended up going to University of the Fraser Valley, which at that time was UFV, so a college. And so went there, and I ended up there actually. At that time it was Mike Hind and Bruce Langford coaching, and Bruce recruited me there, and so that's sort of how I ended up at UFV. And so I ended up there, and I stayed there for 3 years. And in my first year, we had a really really good team. They went on and we lost in the nationals finals that year of the college league. But unfortunately, I blew my knee out in November. So I was starting the starting point guard, and then got injured. So that season was kind of gone for me. But the team we did great overall. And then, so I decided, come back. The next couple years, I played 2 more years there, but my dream was still to play university. And we had a great team at UFV. We were really strong, had some great players, won many Pac West championships, or whatever they're called now, I don't know. And went on to nationals every year. We lost in the finals again one year at the national championship. So learned a lot, grew a lot in that time there. But as I said, my dream was still to go on and play university. And so I ended up through connections, and it was actually Bruce, a coach was recruiting one of his players, and she was looking for a point guard. And he said, he passed my name on and said, if you really need a point guard, this is who you want. And so I ended up connecting and ended up going to Dalhousie in Halifax for my final 3 years of eligibility.
Fantastic. Tell us what it's like to make that jump. I mean, UFB was very, very good back then. That was like they were essentially a university team playing in the college league. So you had there's a lot of winning going on. Then you go to Dalhousie. What was the jump like? Obviously, Halifax is on the other side of the country. I know you live 5 minutes from your home growing up, so clearly you're a homebody. What was it like getting out of your comfort zone and going away and trying that out?
It was pretty, it was a lot of things, a lot of different things, a lot of positives, a lot of things I look back and, it was hard going across the country, especially back then, because there wasn't FaceTime, there wasn't Skype, there wasn't Zoom meetings. It was letter writing or pick up a phone and call, and then time change, how do you get a hold of, family and that. So that part was tough, definitely being that far away, because you are right, I am a homebody and family's important to me. So that was difficult. But as far as, a town to go to, Halifax was great. Dalhousie is a great university. School wise, it was a fantastic education for me, and basketball wise, it was awesome. I think anytime, the neat part about going away is that, the hardest thing is who are you going to connect with? Who are you, being away from home? And when you play a sport, you go to basketball, you're immediately thrown into a family, and, 12 plus whatever, teammates that you have to learn they're a family. You like them on Sundays, you don't like them, and you gel and you figure it out, right? And so you're thrown into that mess, which is wonderful. And I think that's the saving grace. And my coach Carolyn was fantastic, and just took me under her wing and really made sure I was okay and connected. And to this day, she passed away a couple of years ago, but which really sad. But to this day, her husband still phones me up and connects every time he comes to Vancouver. So, there's just that bond and connection that was created, which was what got me through the initial time being so far away from home. With that said, playing university ball was my dream, and it was fantastic. Seeing the East Coast, playing, basketball all across there. We made nationals, twice, I believe, and we won the AUS championship 3 times. So, it was a lot of fun. It was great. And I went from a really good team to another really good team, just different.
Totally. You talked about building relationships and making sure you're there with the right people. I think one of the things you said that was very important is you're stuck with these people. You said they're your people. Whether you get along or you don't get along one day, you got to figure it out. Talk a little bit about dealing with some adversity. What type of adversity did you have to deal with while you were there? Obviously, probably a little bit of homesickness, but what was it like kind of overcoming that and then finding your groove?
I think you just, you find the people you click with, right? And you click and you spend time with them. And, as far as adversity, there's lots of things, right? Whether it's injury or people. This wasn't an adversity, I guess, but, the starting point guard, when I came in, I broke her nose in a drill. She got a little too close, squared up. Next thing you know, she's down. Well, I got the starting spot. Easy peasy there. But
that's one way of doing it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. Don't suggest making friends that way. But I think anytime you go in, you gotta find where you fit. What's your role? What are you doing? And really, I think having a servant heart and just trying to go in and how do I be the best team I can be helped in a lot of those situations versus, oh, it's all about me, right? It's how do I best serve this team? And, I knew I was there for a reason, and I was brought in and do my best to contribute, be the hardest worker, and do the little things that you need it to do.
Okay, so very important. Being a good teammate, you got to find a way to make it work. It's very, very good information. So when you're done university, what do you end up doing?
Okay, well, interesting little sidebar. In my 4th year, I got married. moved back to Vancouver. Well, came back to Vancouver, got married, and then the plan was not to play my 5th year. And then a week before training camp starts, coach calls me, we need you to come back. And that wasn't in my plans, but quick chat with the husband, and it was like, okay, a week later I'm on the plane going back to Halifax for my final year. So the initial stage was, I was going to come home, get into real life, be a wife and all that, but that kind of changed and I went back and played. So that was sort of an interesting, and I appreciate that about my husband, that he gave me that opportunity with no regrets to think, what if I had, or that. So when I came back finally after my last year, it was, okay, hit the real world. What am I going to do? And, I love basketball. It's given me so much. And so it was a natural that I was just, I was going to coach. The where and the what, I initially thought I was head back to my old stomping grounds of Poppy, which, but I ended up at Langley LSS, Langley Senior Secondary, because they had a team but had no coach. So through somebody, it was, we need you. So I ended up coaching there my first year and just, got into it and loved it. I just love people and anyways, love people and love working, with kids. And so to be able to combine that with something I love, basketball, that just gave me so much and I invested so much into it. And then to get to work with people with that and, sharing that with them, it just was a win-win for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you graduate with?
A degree in Bachelor of Arts in History.
How'd you come up with figuring out with that degree? Was it consistent throughout, or did you end up changing? What was that like?
Through all the years, people kept telling me I should be a teacher. You'd be a great teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher, but they kept telling me I probably should have been a teacher, but anyways, and it was the long and the short of it was I came out of it. I about 3/4 of the way in, I wanted to switch to psychology and become a sports psychologist. But that was going to tack on another 3 years. So it was really at that point, which isn't what everybody should hear, but I just wanted to get out of the system and I figured I was educated.
I know that feeling. It's different for everybody, but I think, you get your degree and that's what you need to start there for sure. And so that's important. So you end up having 2 kids that are both going to be playing university sports next year. Talk about kind of getting them to find their own passion and how they got to where they wanted to go. Talk about like, how do you encourage your kids to get into whatever they wanted to get into, which one of them is playing volleyball at the next level, obviously started playing basketball, and then your daughter's going next year to go play basketball. So how'd that go?
You're luck. I don't know. It was, since the moment they were born, they've been in gym. They were literally in the car carrier underneath the seat, of the bench since a month old. So it's just kind of, they grew up around it. They knew at the moment they could walk that they ran around a court. They didn't run through a court because they get pummeled. But so that was an
important life lesson. Yeah.
It is an important with a toddler. You should take note. It's good. And that was probably one of my earliest, happiest mom moments when Brennan ran around to see someone in the bench and I didn't have to worry about it. It was good. Small things. But yeah, it was, I feel really blessed that they enjoyed sports, and obviously being around it, I think they gravitated to that. So, if they had been, that they loved art, they loved dance, great. I would have supported them in whatever they had passion for. But obviously probably that I had such a passion and they were around it contributed to them, falling in love with it. But each of them have made it their own. I've always encouraged them, whatever they wanted to try. When they were young, they played every sport. Like we took golf lessons, swimming, dance, lacrosse. Both of them played lacrosse for years, ball hockey, soccer. Like they've tried everything. And my one rule was always, you start something, you finish it. You don't have to do it next year, but you start it, no matter how you like or don't like it, you're going to finish the season, and then we can talk and change at the end. So they've done lots of things, both of them. And then just as they hit, their, I guess, in their teenage years, they both sort of, Brennan gravitated to both volleyball and basketball and was very good in both of them in high school. And then ultimately, made the decision to play volleyball at Trinity, which has been awesome for him. And we've enjoyed supporting him and cheering him on. And then, McKenna has been basketball. She's been both basketball and volleyball as well going through, but has sort of leaned and put more time into the basketball. So it's really fun to see your kids, not so much that they're playing a sport. Yeah, great, fantastic. That's, it's nice for me to be able to watch something I love. But I think the more important of it is that they found passion in something and really worked hard to do their best and achieve their best that they can at it. And to me, it wouldn't have mattered what it was, but I'm just happy it's something that they, are so passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. And they definitely put in the extra time, which I think has helped them both become successful. As someone who's coached your daughter for a couple of years, her exceptional commitment to getting better every day, finding new ways to get better is obviously something she takes very big pride in. So that's always very cool. Now, talk about starting your basketball program at Langley Christian. So you get to Langley Christian. It's a very small school. You guys are single A, and you have to start building a program. Talk about building that culture to get kids to actually become basketball players and take it seriously, to where now, last few years, you guys have turned yourselves into a provincial powerhouse that competes at the top tier of every level. So what's it like when you started, and then now that you guys are actually competing with the very best in the province every year?
It was when I first started, it was kind of funny because I had no intention. I just come off of coaching at Trinity for 5 years, and I really wasn't. I was just going to take time off and be mom. And we somehow skipped over Trinity Western. We'll do that We'll do that next. I want to hear about that. Go ahead. Sorry. No, that's totally fine. But it leads into the funny of my first practice. And then I got, my kids were going to Langley Christian. They were both still in elementary school. As I said, I wasn't planning coaching, take a little time off. But, of course, then there's a team that doesn't have a coach. They're not going to have a team if they don't have a coach. So that's how I fell into it again. And so my first practice, I literally spent 3 hours making this practice plan. It was beautiful. It was awesome. I was gonna yes, we're gonna do all this, come into practice and realize these girls can't do layups. My practice literally threw it out. I was like, okay, we can't do the pick and roll. We can't do this. We just got to focus on putting the ball in the basket. Right. And so that was it was not an eye opener. It was more just okay, this is totally different. Okay, step back. How do I do this? And really going into that season, I learned it was more about, connecting relationships with the girls, and then, just having fun out there. We're going to have fun. And with the fun was, we're going to work hard. So my first season was just we're going to work our butts off. We're going to have fun, and we're just going to, go out there and do our best. And that's what it was about. And, I think for a few years there, we definitely overachieved because we outworked people, right? It wasn't talent at all. We were like those whatever bears, bad news bears. We definitely looked like that. I used to have one girl, she was probably one of my strongest rebounders I ever had. She'd come off with hair falling out and this or that. And I was like, Tessa, all you have to do is rebound the ball and put it in. And she did it, right? And the kids bought in. That was my biggest thing. They bought in, and they worked hard, and we had fun. And so, it's funny, every team you enjoy and love for different reasons, and every team's special for different reasons. And this team, we actually won decently and did okay. I mean, we weren't top tier level at all, but, through those years, that's sort of what it was. And every year it was sort of, okay, let's get better. And I came to realize, I think in the beginning, was that I had to make a decision. What did I want for this program? Because we can just have fun and we can work hard and do our best every year. Because basically none of my players ever touched the ball. I found my first team literally stepped in the gym with me December and hadn't touched the ball since last February. So, that's what we're about. And so trying to figure that out, and knowing that I had kids coming through the system because we were a volleyball school, was what do I need to do? And that was okay, I got to start club programs because these kids aren't going to go play clubs elsewhere because they all play volleyball clubs. So I got to make it work that it works with volleyball. If that's what I want, if I want that opportunity for my kids. And initially I started it because, I was like, if my kids are going to be here and they love sports, I want them to have those chances. And so I started a club basketball program. And so my first couple of years were started in grade 6 with some girls, and by the time we hit grade 11 with them, that's when we won our first provincial championship. And so, it wasn't just, it was a lot of years of playing summer, going to Linden, just local stuff, but practicing and doing stuff, and a lot of fun with that. Because when we did finally win, it wasn't just about, oh, we won. It was like, wow, all this work, the journey we put in has got us to this point, which was really, really cool. And that was a few years back. And it's funny because my MVP and she was in grade 11. It was my MVP of our first provincial. And she came back to help me coach this year. And she laughs at the way I coach now. You're way more relaxed than you were when you coached me. You used to yell at me nonstop. And I was like, Allie, I had to. Like, and I used to yell at her nonstop. Don't, Allie, don't do this. Anyway. So yeah, it's been fun, a lot of work, and a commitment by the girls, right? A commitment, and it's been fun to see that growth. Fun to see, my biggest highlight this year was when you have optional shoot arounds and you walk in the gym and everybody's there. 90% of your team is there, and it's not, I'm telling them to get in there. It's, they're in there wanting to be in there. And, that's really cool when it's a proud moment of like, wow, we've come so far from where, they don't touch a ball all off season to now we're working hard. We're in the gym when it's not mandatory. And so I said, it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of buy-in from the girls. And I've had great girls to coach, and love them all.
Yeah, and the teams keep getting better, and you can tell the kids are taking it more seriously every year for sure. So let's rewind a little bit. So you finish out at Dalhousie, you go to coaching at Langley. How do we end up at Trinity? How does that end up happening? How do we get there? What's it like to get the job?
I ended up actually at Trinity. I became the assistant to the athletic director. That was my first job. And so just this job opening came, someone saw it, said, you'd be great for it. It's in my backyard. I was like, sure, why not? That would be awesome. So did that for a couple years and loved it. Obviously sports is a huge part. I love working in the sports field. So I was able to grow a lot because I went to all the CIS meetings and sat on committees across the country. So it was neat to have a relationship with all the athletic directors across the country. That was really cool. And then the job opening came up for the basketball. And so I was like, why not throw my name in? Who knows? Right. And I got it. And so, yeah, it was great. It was eye-opening. It was probably the toughest season of my life in the aspect of, I found out I was pregnant with McKenna in like December, got offered the job in January, had her at the end of June, and was back to work in July. So, and then she was on the road with me at our first tournament in October in Montreal, so I've got a newborn that you hear screaming in the stands. And, so it was challenging, and, but it was good. And back then, our conference was the toughest conference in the country. So it was a real learning experience where I played, I look back on the champions who won, and UVic, UBC, and SFU are the ones that won the national title every single year, the year I coached there. And I played them each 4 times that year, each year. That was our conference, 2 home, like 2 away. Yeah. It was an eye-opening experience that, I grew and things I did great, and things I really, I wish, looking back, you go, oh man, I was so young and green and naive, and I definitely could have done better. But.
So how many years did you end up at Trinity?
I think I was there 5 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, you had some nice players come through there. Obviously Taylor's now a coach out in St. John Bray Buffs. She coaches, so you've got some kids who have stayed in the game. You got some kids now from Langley Christian. They're playing post-secondary. What's it like having kids that you coach then go back and keep playing, or give back to the game through coaching after they finish playing? Talk a little bit about that.
It's awesome. Like, it's really neat to see, especially female players like getting back and involved, because we don't see enough of that. Taylor was a fantastic player, and to see her coaching, it's always fun stepping in the gym when we, connect again. And she's doing a phenomenal job out there at Brebeuf. And, it warms your heart, and it's nice to see these girls, because you kind of think, okay, they love the game enough, and you shared enough of your passion. Now they're going now and sharing their passion with, younger kids and younger players. And it's just neat to see, like, especially high school, like my first player that went off and played post-secondary, you know, it was just awesome. We went, you know, you go out, you cheer them on, and it's just wonderful to see them, you know, take their game to the next level and be able to have those experiences, right? Because I tell anyone, if you have any chance of playing post-secondary, no matter what your role, no matter what it is, do it. Because you've got this small window of opportunity that you can do it. When you're 30 years old, you're not going to go back and play college basketball. Like you have, you know, because people are always like, oh, I think I want to work instead of play or do this, you know, some players. And I just look at them like, what? Like, you know, you have a 2-3 year window here to start doing this, you know, otherwise you're never going to do this in life, right? You have the rest of your life to actually work at a, you know, 9-to-5 job, but you only have this chance to do it. So I always say, just go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, you're literally going to work the rest of your life. Like, enjoy the moment, soak it up, get something out of it, have fun with it.
Well, especially because your best memories are, you know, the teams you played on, the players you played with, the connections you have. Like, it's still fun to connect and, you know, with those people in whatever means we have, you know, these days, or running a gym. You know, I think most times when I started coming back in gyms in BC, it was like, holy smokes, how many people I know. And it's always fun to connect and see them.
Totally. Now let's get specific for some of the players out here. You know, your daughter was probably one of the more committed kids in the entire province the last couple of years at getting better. Give us a little breakdown of, you know, so you obviously have your practice for 2 hours during the day. Give us a little breakdown of what she would do in a week outside of practice, because I think that's very important. What are we doing? I think to get to the next level, to get to the next step, it's gotta be not the stuff you're doing in practice, because everybody's doing the practice. What are you doing outside of practice? So give us a little breakdown of like things that she was working on this past year outside of practice.
Yeah, like are you like just the time put in, or actual stuff, or a little of both?
So like a little bit of both, but mostly like the time and like the schedule. Like how much is she lifting? How much is she lifting? What is she doing for shooting? Like all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny part is, you know, as I look back at the amount of work she's put in, and definitely it's like she gets up and she's at the gym 6:30. She gets in there 7 is the time she goes in. So she's every morning in there looking to shoot before. And if we don't shoot in the morning, then we are staying late at the night to do it. But most times it was the morning, because for our gym, that's the only accessibility you could get. Yeah. So she'd be in the gym for an hour and a half every morning, looking at, you know, just working on her game, dribbling, shooting, all that kind of stuff. And then that was pretty much every day she'd be doing that, which meant a lot of early mornings for me, because I had to drive her. So when the license came, that was fabulous. So, and I rebounded a lot. So the best investment was when our school, we finally bought a rebounder. That saved me a ton of, like, because believe me, in the early days, I was chasing free.
That much anymore, right? So rebounding is a lot easier when you just.
Rebounding is a lot easier, yes. But in the early days, let me tell you, I was good. Okay, trying to angles off walls. That was all okay. So definitely, like every morning in the gym, she would weight train. She would go to a trainer once a week, and then do 2 or 3 days otherwise on her own. And so she actually did this surrounding, because in the fall she played volleyball as well. So she would literally go from volleyball practice to, you know, weight training, and then come home and do homework. That was kind of her routine. So the mornings were, which she found what worked the best. Was it easy? Not at all. Getting up every morning, but, you know, she was dedicated to, this is what she wanted, and she knew she had to do that, you know, to get where she wanted.
Absolutely. Now, last question that I throw at people every time is, if you go back in time and give young Danie Gardner a little bit of a little advice, a little tidbit, what would you tell the young Danie Gardner when she was in high school to, you know, give her a little heads up on some things?
Wow, man. First off, you got to assume I can think back that far. Just teasing. Not that old yet. You know, I look back and overall, I'm like, I had a great high school career. I had great experiences. I can't really, you know, there's not a lot, but I think the biggest thing would just be confident in yourself, right? Put the work in, never give up. And, you know, you got goals, go after them, right? There's always going to be naysayers. right? There's going to be people that tell you you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not quick enough, you're not tall enough, you're too tall. Okay, maybe never that. But all those things, right? And if you have that belief in yourself and you put in the time, I say just go for it. Have a realistic approach, but be definitely don't ever give up on your dreams. Because I'd say a lot of things in my life, definitely jobs and opportunities came, and I maybe wasn't the best qualified. I was in the right spot at the right time, or this or that. But it was, you learn from it, and just going and giving it your best effort.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things you mentioned on real quick there was, you get that confidence for putting in the work. And I think that resounds with me for everybody. I mean, our players, if you want to get better, if you want to get confident, you can say, oh, I'm lacking confidence. Well, it's because you didn't work hard enough. You put in the work, confidence comes by itself. It's just a byproduct of effort and execution on a game plan. If you know what the game plan is and you execute on it, you have no choice but to be confident, because you already did what you're supposed to do, and you're just there to execute the plan. And I think that's huge advice for everybody. And I thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Hopefully we can get on the court someday and we can actually play some basketball.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, one of these days.
Awesome. One of these days.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.